How's everybody doing today? I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is your boy Jalen. I want to thank you for being here. You know, it's a good Wednesday. It's nice and breezy outside. It's hot in here, but hey, we're gonna rock it. You know, I was talking to somebody. I love doing this on a Wednesday because at this point, a lot of things I'm gonna talk about happen either a week ago or on Sunday or on Saturday. But the best way to convey what has happened that many people already know is, I guess Wednesdays allow me to drive the conversation with my personality. No, I'm not the funniest dude. I'm not the most energetic. But talking about things that's already happened in sports on a Wednesday, it allows me to be me. It allows me to, I guess, flow with it. You know what I mean? So, again, I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast, where I give my unpopular opinion about sports. Today we're going to talk about the most recent thing. Let's talk about the MLB playoffs and how. See, I talked about this in a recent podcast that I don't know if I would give Bryce Harper $400 million because that's a lot of money for one player that, while he's a good player and he produces fans and ticket sales, I don't know if I'd pay him that much of my salary. Because while he is a great home run hitter, he doesn't really do well. At least for this year, he didn't really do much as an all-around game. If I want to pay somebody $400 million, I want an all-around player. I don't want a player that can just hit 30, 40 home runs a year, but their team doesn't really produce wins for the team. So, it's hard giving me or allowing myself to give one player $400 million. And I brought that up because if you saw what happened last night, the Yankees lost to the Boston Red Sox. So now it is the Boston Red Sox against the Houston Astros. And in the NLDS, it is the Dodgers against the Brewers. But let me go back to the Yankees. The Yankees have the quote-unquote superstar lineup. You have Aaron Judge. You have Giancarlo Stanton. You have pretty big-name pitchers, big-name outfielders. What I'm saying is the Yankees have the names. But the difference between the Yankees and Boston is Boston has a complete team. Boston doesn't have any players that can warrant $400, $500 million. While Boston has a complete team, the Yankees do. The Yankees have Aaron Judge, and they also have Giancarlo Stanton, two big home run hitters, but don't really do much for you outside of that, like Bryce Harper. And you saw that this series. You saw how the team dynamic of Boston was able to overcome two solid, great players. And I'm not saying that the Yankees are a bad team. I'm not saying that at all. Of course, Yankees have I believe they have the most championships in all of sports. But when we're talking about a team, I want a complete team, even if I don't have that star player. Now, yes, Boston has great players, but they don't have that Bryce Harper. They don't have that Aaron Judge. They don't have that Manny Machado. They don't have that Giancarlo Stanton, but the Yankees do. And you saw that when they needed the team, they have the players, they just don't have the team. And we saw that in full display. Last night, I believe they lost 4-1 or 6-1, but I know the game before that the Yankees got destroyed. I think they lost like 14-1 or something. So what I'm saying is, when it comes to, baseball is not like basketball. Basketball, you can warrant somebody getting for if it was LeBron James or someone like Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or someone like or James Harden, you could warrant them getting $400 million because basketball, unlike baseball, one player can change the dynamic of a whole team, a whole franchise. You saw that with LeBron James in Cleveland. Without LeBron James, Cleveland is a laughing stock of the NBA. And you'll see this year when, they don't have LeBron. But when LeBron comes to your team, or when a Steph Curry or a Kevin Durant comes to your team automatically gets better, like dramatically. So I understand if Bryce Harper or Aaron Judd or Giancarlo Stanton played basketball or played a sport where one player can really affect the outcome of a season, but they don't. They play in baseball. And give me a complete team over 2 or 3 solid players in baseball. And that's why the Boston Red Sox, who statistically I believe are going down as one of the greatest teams of all time this year, don't have that box office player. But they have a solid and great team, which is why they are now in the ALDS. For people that don't know, that's American League Divisional. Isn't it divisional? Yeah, divisional series. Yeah. And of course, Dodgers and Brewers. Now, the difference between the Dodgers and the Dodgers and the Yankees is the Dodgers have players. They have Manny Machado, and they have Clayton Kershaw. But they also have solid pieces around them. Yasiel Puig and other players that round out the team. So it's gonna be good. I think it's hard for me to pick against Boston at this point. From what I've seen all year and what I've seen throughout the playoffs, it's hard for me to pick. Oh, you know what? And let me say this. Let me say this, so people don't hit me up talking about this, that, and third. I am not an avid baseball watcher. I don't really watch baseball that much. I do watch it, but from time to time. I'm not the most knowledgeable baseball player when it comes to the history of baseball, but I do watch games from time to time. I do watch playoff games. I do follow the sport. So I think I can warrant talking about baseball from time to time. No, I can't go in depth about who's on the Padres or who's on what's the trash team? Who's on the Diamondbacks. But I could talk about baseball. Again, I'm not the most dynamic person when it comes to, I don't know. I'm not as well-rounded in baseball, but I can say some things. And I know just by looking that Boston is leaps and bounds and was leaps and bounds better than New York. And I think that they have the team, the complete team that can win it all. Yes, Houston is they're trying to repeat. And they looked really solid last round. They look solid this whole year, honestly. But when I'm looking at statistics, when I'm looking at just the eye test, Boston looks almost unstoppable. Yes, they had a hiccup last series. Yankees did win one game, but the games that Boston did win, they were very convincing wins. So I'm gonna say I believe it's gonna be Boston and the Dodgers in the World Series. And give me Boston in 6 games. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Boston's a good team, man. Boston is a good team. Boston's a good team, and they don't have that star player, but they have the star team. and that I take that over any day. So many of you saw the Conor McGregor Khabib fight, and many of you saw what happened at the end of the Conor and Khabib fight. For people that didn't, Khabib destroyed Conor, destroyed him, made him submit or tap out, and up to the fight, the days, weeks, months leading up to the fight, Conor and his camp has been really disrespectful to Khabib, talking about his religion, talking about his father, talking about his Khabib just as in general, talking about just talking about Khabib. And for people that don't know, I believe it was about a year ago or a couple months ago when Conor was in Brooklyn after a UFC event, and Conor wasn't fighting, and Conor was threw a whole dolly at a bus, at the UFC bus where there were multiple fighters, including Khabib, and multiple people got injured. People had to cancel people had to withdraw from that UFC event due to the fact that they were too injured to play or fight. So it's been leading up. This fight, as in with Conor and Khabib, has been boiling and the hatred towards each other has been boiling for a while. So when Conor went against Khabib, now another thing I have to say is this was Conor's first fight since Floyd Mayweather. So he hasn't fought in a while, and he was suspended for the bus incident. So he hasn't fought for nearly 2 years. So there's a lot of hatred, animosity that both fighters have for each other. Now you have to have some animosity and some hatred towards each other as a fighter in general, because you have to go with that mentality as, I want to go kill this dude. You have to. Like, if not, then what are you really doing? So again, for people that don't know, at the end of the fight, again, Khabib destroyed Conor. Khabib really showed that Conor was not only not in shape, but physically he couldn't handle Khabib. Khabib would get him to the ground. Khabib hit him with one nice right counter punch that had Conor stumble. And again, ultimately, Conor tapped out in the third round. So at the end of the fight, it started when Khabib threw his mouthpiece. Well, he said something to Conor as he was getting off him after he tapped out and everything. But I don't know if anybody noticed that Khabib didn't let go of Conor after the first tap. He had to tap twice. So I don't know if anybody saw that, but so Khabib then throws his mouthpiece in the direction of Conor's training camp. Khabib is angry. He's irate. Then he climbs the fence, jumps into the crowd, and tries to fight Conor's camp. While this is happening, someone in Khabib's camp climbs over the fence into the octagon and starts piecing Conor. Like, piecing this man. And today, the days after, and today you're hearing, Khabib's going to get stripped or could get stripped of the title and could be suspended. Conor might be fined and suspended. The people that jumped into the ring are going to get are arrested. People at Conor's camp might get arrested. So it's like a flip. It's like a coin to this. There's a good side to this, and there's a bad side. Let's talk about the bad side. For a while, the UFC has been trying to trying to legitimize itself. It's for a long time now. It's pretty much taken the reins of boxing as like the most popular fighting sport, but it was only a couple of years ago when UFC was allowed to have pay-per-view events in New York. So that just shows that UFC has been trying to legitimize itself. And when you see stuff like that, it's really hard for venues and some of the higher ups to really take something serious, take a sport seriously when at any given moment a fighter can snap and attack the crowd like that. Now, yes, I know people are saying this is like Malice in the Palace. It's really not. Malice in the Palace, you had 6'7", 6'8" dudes going into the stands fighting civilians. Now, no, I'm not saying they were innocent civilians, but they were fighting civilians. People that were clearly not matched up with them, like couldn't match up with them. In this case with Khabib and Conor, you had Khabib trying to go against someone that was, I guess, he felt was on an equal playing field. He was going against a UFC coach, which was a UFC coaching staff, which was Conor's coaching staff. So it kind of paints a black eye for the sport when you're trying to legitimize yourself, and then you have people that can at any moment snap like that, because that could happen at any given moment. Anybody can hop the fence. Anybody can start attacking fans, and it's hard to get sponsors, and it's hard to get people to really respect the sport when that could happen, because nobody wants a brawl to happen in their venue. Nobody wants a innocent bystander to get seriously hurt in their venue, because that's a black eye for not only the sport, but the player or the fighter and the venue. So I can see where Dana White and Joe Rogan's like, man, we don't need this. We don't need this. I get that. I get where, there are venues. It's like, I don't know if I want the UFC to come to my arena. I understand that. I really do. But then on the flip side, it's Wednesday. And news outlets like SportsCenter or FS1 or, Bleacher Report are still talking about it. While people don't want to be involved in an incident like that, people love to see stuff like that go down. As in fans. People are already clamoring for a rematch. Now, they still got to get the belt thing situated, and they still have to get what's going to happen with Conor, and they still got to get all that situated. But Conor already sent reports have come out to say Conor have already asked Dana White for a rematch or to set up a rematch. So again, stuff like that really popularizes the sport when it comes to fans. Now, of course, you have the diehard fans. This is disgusting. We would never want to see something like this ever. Like, okay. If for people that say that, right? For people that say they never want to see something like that happen, why do they watch the sport at all? People love to watch the UFC for, in fact, I think the fight or two before that, the Pettis fight, when there was blood everywhere, people were saying that's one of the best fights they've seen in years. That was a damn near bloodbath. But then yet people enjoyed that so much because, of course, the violence and the gratuity of it. So again, it's a flip of a coin, man. People as fans love to see stuff like that, and now we're still talking about it. And it's Wednesday. It happened Saturday, and on the other side, I understand that you're trying to legitimize the sport. Like when that thing happened with Ron Artest, man, it was it was a black eye for the NBA for a while. Ticket sales went down and everything, but fans still watched. Now, yes, it took the Indiana Pacers to recover like a lot longer. I think they're still trying to recover, but that's another story for another day. All I'm saying is there's a flip side to every coin. Yes, it might have been a bad look for the UFC as a whole for the Conor and Khabib brawl after, but now there's going to be a lot more people. And to be honest with you, the brawl was a lot more interesting than the actual fight. So there's going to be a lot more people that's going to want to watch the rematch. And ticket sales are going to skyrocket now because people want to see the retaliation. Look, Conor threw a dolly at the bus, to pretty much start this whole feud, and it wasn't even about. It was about his friend getting disrespected. So you think you have somebody in another camp piecing Conor? You think he's just gonna let that go? No. So like I said, the promotion for this is going to be crazy. This is going to happen. Don't worry. There will be a rematch, and I'm going to see it. I'm going to want to watch it. I don't like paying for pay-per-view that much, but because I'm broke. But I'll watch it because I want to see how these two camps that clearly hate each other are going to, I think Conor's going to lose again the same way he lost, but I still have that. I want to see it. You know how people had the first time Manny Pacquiao fought Floyd. But we wanted to see two giants go together. Now, I want to see how two people that clearly hate each other, and after what we saw on Saturday, I want to see how they respond. Hey, so again, you're watching the Unpopular podcast. So, just a disclaimer. I should have said this at the top of the show, but they're doing work on the roof. So if you hear some footsteps, if you hear some noises, that's because they're doing work. I can't control that. I don't own the building, so I can't be like, hey, chill out. I'm doing a podcast. Hey, so if you hear any noises, if you hear footsteps, if you hear some loud crashing, just know that they're doing work on the top. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna talk about this. When we talk about leaders, right? What really constitutes a leader? Sometimes a leader could be a quiet assassin, I guess you can say, someone that leads by example, and someone that doesn't do much talking. A leader like a Tim Duncan. A leader could be someone that's monstrous and voices his opinion a lot, but still backs it up like a Draymond Green. So more of the story is there's a lot of forms of leadership. And recently an interview came out that Odell Beckham and Lil Wayne, for some reason, I don't know why Lil Wayne was there, but Odell Beckham did with ESPN's Josina Anderson about the Giants and why they're struggling so bad and why they've been struggling so bad for the past, few years. And Odell Beckham he didn't hold back at all. He went at the fans. He went at Eli Manning the worst. He went at the coaching staff. He went at the offense. He just went at everyone. Called him out, saying, we know Eli ain't gonna run. We know, I don't know why he can't throw it deep anymore. He pretty much let the organization have it. And a lot of people are saying that wasn't right for him to do. He shouldn't have done that. That can divide a locker room, this and that, boom. So what I say is we'll have to see. Now, on Sunday, after the comments, the Giants played probably their best game I've seen them play in years. They scored 31 points. Eli was throwing darts to his receivers. Odell Beckham caught a touchdown. He threw a touchdown. Now they lost because Graham Gano had tied the longest. Hit I think it was 63-yard kick, which was tied for the longest kick ever in NFL history. But the Giants looked energized. They looked like they wanted that win. Now, of course it did, but it didn't happen the way they wanted to. But they looked like a team. They looked like a team on a mission, a team that wanted to prove, okay, we should be respected in the NFC. Now, again, I don't know if I would have called out all my teammates like that. I don't even know if I could call out a teammate like that. But I think with something like that, we need to see, man. This game tomorrow against the Eagles is a big game for them. If they come out flat, if they come out lackadaisical, and especially with the Eagles are struggling right now. The Eagles are 2-3. They just lost on Sunday to the Vikings. So they're struggling. I think we really need to see, or we're really going to see just the ramifications of, or the ripple effect of Odell Beckham's comments. If they come out ball, they have to win. I think this is, not only is this a must win for the Giants, this is a must win for the Eagles. If the Eagles want any shot at trying to repeat, because right now they're banged up with injury. Jay Ajayi tore his ACL, so he's out more than likely for the season. So they're thinking about bringing on LaShawn McCoy, or trying to trade for LaShawn McCoy. So there's just a lot going on. Carson Wentz is still trying to acclimate himself back in after, his injury last year. This is a must-win for both teams. And I don't know how his teammates are looking at him, because Odell Beckham signed an extension recently. So it's not like he'll say these and then they'll be like, no, we don't respect you. We're going to cut you for saying stuff like that. He is one of the captains of the team. He's one of the leaders of the team. So he is warranted to say stuff like that. I don't know if he should have said something like that, but we have to see. We have to see if this is going to galvanize the team, or if this is going to divide the team even more. You saw Sterling Shepard fighting the bench, out of frustration on Sunday against the Panthers. So calling out a team like that is a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope, because it can be a galvanizer. I guess people look themselves in the mirror like, you know what, he might have been right, or it can be, I don't know why you talking. I mean, I don't know why you would call me out, stuff like that. You just got paid. I need to get, like the stuff that's happening in Pittsburgh. When you got the offensive line calling out the running back that's not there, that's why I don't think Le'Veon Bell could return or can sign an extension to with Pittsburgh, because I think that bridge is burned, man. He can come back for the rest of the season, but I don't see him. I don't see him re-signing. And not saying Odell is in the same predicament as much as Le'Veon Bell is, but what I'm saying is, you don't call out a teammate. You don't call out a team like that, man. But again, you don't know. And he didn't really kill him. He didn't come out and say, Eli's trash or the coaching staff's trash. He was just like, hey, we We all know. I don't know why I haven't. He says him. He said they haven't put me in the right position or in the positions to flourish, and that is an indictment on the quarterback and the coaching staff. And he was like, I don't know why Eli can't just throw the deep ball. I don't know why we as an organization can't throw the deep ball. That's Eli. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. This is a must-win for not only the Giants but the Eagles as well. This is a big Thursday night game. And staying with NFL, I don't know if any of you guys saw the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans game when they went to overtime. They were at the I think it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 1. And in overtime. And instead of going for it, they punt the ball, ultimately pretty much sealing their loss. I understand some people would be like, in fact, not some people. Jason Garrett said, he came out and said that was a long 1 yard on why he didn't punt. That's a long 1 yard. If you look at New England. There's one thing that, people always say New England is the model of consistency. They're pretty much the Spurs of the NFL. They have a system and they run it to perfection. But the one thing that the Patriots and even the Eagles last year do is they take risks. If it was a 4th and 1, and Tom Brady's not running anywhere. He's probably one of the slowest quarterbacks ever. But if it's 4th and 1, they're going for it. Especially in overtime, they're going for it. The Eagles had a 4th down in the Super Bowl and went for it. And threw it to their quarterback. They threw it to their quarterback and converted it. But you look at teams like Jacksonville, who had a 4th down in the conference championship game against Patriots, and they kick it, and you see what happened there. People ask, are the Cowboys' window closed under Jason Garrett as their coach? And I say no. The Cowboys' Super Bowl window's closed because of Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is one of the most influential people in all of NFL. Jerry Jones said he wanted a team in Vegas. They had a team in Vegas. Jerry Jones says he doesn't like this. They changed this. They don't like that. They changed that. Jerry Jones is one of the most influential people in the NFL. But too many times he meddles with the team, and he meddles with things that shouldn't be meddled with. Everybody knows Jason Garrett should have been fired. Everyone knows that. Everyone with 2 eyes, hell, even Cowboys fans, if you talk to them, have said that Jason Garrett should have been fired. But because Jerry Jones likes him and he's Jerry Jones' boy, his job is secure year after year. Year after year of mediocrity, he still keeps his job. So they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't have a number 1, 2, or 3 wide receiver. They have Hearns, Cole Beasley, Tavon Austin, who was a punt return specialist or special team specialist. But who do they really? I mean, they know this, and they cut Dez Bryant. Now, I have my thoughts on Dez Bryant. I don't know if Dez Bryant is still a productive wide receiver. Dez Bryant has been on the wrong side of drops for the last few years. So I have my thoughts on Dez Bryant, but I do know this. I'd rather have Dez Bryant on my team than going into a Sunday knowing Cole Beasley or Allen Hurns are my number 1 and 2 wide receivers. Allen Hurns, who couldn't even make it in Jacksonville. And can you name me 2 of their wide receivers right now? Oh, wait. Cole Beasley wasn't even the number 1 receiver at his college. So, look, I understand that you're the owner, the GM, do what you got to do. But when a team is held hostage by management like it is, like the Cowboys are with Jerry Jones, there's no way I don't see that they could win a Super Bowl with this regime, you know. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Especially when everybody and their mama knows that Jason Garrett should have been fired. Because, not saying he wouldn't be a good coordinator, wouldn't be a good coordinator, but he's not a good coach. He's a model of inconsistency and a model of mediocrity. But when you have Jerry Jones comes out and say, "That's my guy," what can you really do? I don't see it. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. It's tough. Cowboys, this is the first year their defense actually better than their offense. First year in a while that their defense is better than their offense. Their defense has always been the problem. Even back with the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith days. Their defense has always been their Achilles heel. But this is the first year that I can remember that their defense is hands down better than their offense, even with their offensive line and Zeke Elliott, who is leading the league in rushing yards. But with an owner like Jerry Jones, it's tough, man. It's tough. It is tough to win anything, and you have somebody in management pretty much holding your team hostage. It's tough. I just don't see how they can get better with that. I don't. College football, man, there was a lot of upsets. LSU lost to Florida. Oklahoma lost to Texas, which was a great game, by the way. Texas almost messed around and lost that game. They almost messed around and lost that game. And they were destroying Oklahoma, but Oklahoma came back like that. Now, of course, they lost at the end, but, Auburn lost to Mississippi State. Kentucky lost to Texas A&M. Stanford got destroyed by Utah. And you know what? That's what irritates me. I'm going to be real. I'm an Oregon fan. I love the Oregon Ducks. It might be me because of their jerseys. I don't know. But I'm an Oregon fan. In my eyes, Oregon is leaps and bounds better than Utah. And if Utah's smacking, and this isn't the first time Stanford got smacked this year. Don't forget, this isn't the first time. So why can't we play like that against Stanford? We were playing like that until Stanford came back with the quickness and won. I saw the momentum swing so fast on that game, man. And I'm talking about the Oregon and Stanford game. When they took that touchdown away from Oregon because they said that he stepped out of bounds before he hit the pylon, or while he hit the pylon, but the pylon is still out of bounds. After that, we fumbled the ball twice, couldn't score, and Stanford just boom, 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 score, and we lost. Utah smacked Stanford. So you telling me we couldn't play like that? Like, come on, man. Michigan State lost to Northwestern. See, a lot of these laws, like the LSU in Florida, that LSU, I believe, if they still win out, they can make it to the college Final Four because Florida's, they're always a good team. Oklahoma, while I think they can still win out, make the college football playoffs, Kyler Murray, I think this really hurts his Heisman chances. Now, I think it was a neck and neck race between him and Tua at Alabama, but this really hurts his chances because the first half he was playing awful, just god awful, and Auburn. I kind of knew Auburn was gonna mess the money up, man. I kind of knew it. I had them. I did a podcast before the season started, and I said that could have been a team that could have won it all. You know who else has also said could have won it all? Mississippi State. Now they haven't showed me that they could win it all this year because they struggled too, but they beat Auburn. They beat Auburn. Kentucky. I kind of knew that was. I'm not gonna say that was. Kentucky is who Kentucky is. While Kentucky can still make it to a bowl game and probably still make it to a bowl game, Kentucky, in my eyes, never had a chance and never has a chance at making the college football playoffs. As well as Stanford, Bryce Love was out, so that's definitely big for them. But they've been struggling this whole year, except against Oregon. And Michigan State's been struggling too. So I don't know. I don't know. I thought Michigan State could have been one of those teams too. I put them in my college football playoff sleepers episode too. I thought they could do it, but because they always had a stout defense and you lost to Northwestern. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's talk about this a little quickly. About a week ago, Kylan Mbappé plays for PSG. He also plays for the French team. Yeah, that won the World Cup. Was it France? Yeah, France team won the World Cup. He scored 4 goals in 13 minutes. One of the fastest. That's one of the fastest 4-goal records in soccer history. I brought that up because for a decade now, it's been Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo as the clear 2, 1 and 2 in soccer. And while Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi has been balling this year, for a decade now, it's been them two in a far third, a distant third. But if you look at it now, you have players like Mbappé, you have Neymar, you have Luka Modric. You can even throw in Harry Kane in there. You have players that once Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi leave the sport, whenever they leave the sport, because of course they're both getting up there in age, that the league would be in great hands. Soccer as a whole would be in great hands. Again, you also have Luis Suarez. You have I always felt, and it's always been a running gag where if Messi or Ronaldo's not playing, or whenever they leave the sport of soccer, a lot of people was like, "Oh, okay, well, where is it going to go from there?" Soccer doesn't have a clear successor after them two, and it's been like that for a decade now, a little longer than a decade actually. But soccer is in a good hands, man. Soccer with, like I said, Mbappé, who's young, Neymar, who's young, Luka Modric, who just won Player of the Year last year. Soccer's in a good place. Soccer is in a good place. While not all teams are great, soccer's in a good place. Uh, even if Ronaldo and Messi call it quits anytime soon. So, with that being said, I gotta find a way to transition, man. I gotta find a way to transition better. I can't just keep saying with that being said, let's go to the unpopular topic of the week. I gotta find a way to transition a little better than that. I'm gonna work on that. But let's go to the unpopular topic of the week.
Welcome to the
Unpopular Opinions.
Unpopular opinions.
Have unpopular opinions.
Unpopular opinions.
Okay, so what's an unpopular opinion?
Unpopular opinions.
To utter such blasphemy. He's got the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to echo such blasphemous nonsense. Just blasphemy.
So, on Monday, not only did Drew Brees obliterate the Redskins, he submitted himself in the record books as the quarterback with the most career passing yards, passing not only Brett Favre but Peyton Manning as well. Drew Brees, in my opinion, I've said this before in previous episodes. Drew Brees is, to me, the most underrated quarterback of all time. We talk about even today, we talk about greats like Tom Brady. We talk about greats like Aaron Rodgers. And Drew Brees very rarely, if ever, gets talked about. And a lot of people want to attribute his success to, he played in the dome his whole career, or he played alongside Sean Payton, who's one of the best offensive coaches the league has ever seen, or them together is one of the best coach-player tandems the league has ever seen, or Drew Brees only has one Super Bowl, or this, that, and the third. What people like to forget is that the Saints were the Aints for a long time. The Saints were the Clippers. The Saints were the Browns. The Saints were so bad. Like I said, people were showing up to games with bags over their faces. Drew Brees is not the first quarterback to take the Saints to the playoffs, but he's the only quarterback in Saints history that has ever won a playoff game, let alone won a Super Bowl. Drew Brees has always been a model of consistency. Always been a model of consistency. From playing back up to Phillip Rivers when he was in the Chargers, to Miami not clearing him for a trade. That's why Nick Saban left, or Nick Saban got fired and went to Alabama, and you see what happened there. To just his greatness since day one with the Saints. So, the unpopular topic of the week is that Drew Brees, in my opinion, is right now a top 5 quarterback of all time. And you know what's sad about that? In my opinion, he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. But out of the top 5 quarterbacks with the most passing yards in league history, he's the only one that has never won an MVP. it's almost laughable how many people talk about some of the greatest quarterbacks ever and leave Drew Brees' name out. I asked about 16 people. Not 16. Yeah, about 16 people from Monday to now. Name me their top 5 quarterbacks, and only 2 of them said Drew Brees was in it. Drew Brees isn't the most flashy player. He's not always in the spotlight, but Drew Brees has always been a model of consistency. In fact, let me just name some of the records that Drew Brees holds right now. He has the most career passing yards, most career passing completions, most passing completions in a season, highest career completion percentage, highest single season completion percentage. By the way, right now, I know it's only week 5 or 6, but Drew Brees right now is throwing 77.9%, is completing 77.9% of his passes this season. Now, I know that's going to be hard to maintain, but if he maintains that, that would be the highest single season completion percentage that he already holds. Keep going. He is tied with most touchdown passes in a game, and he has the most consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Now, a lot of people, which is a good, I heard a lot of people compare Drew Brees to Steve Nash. Very underrated when it comes to his greatness or their greatness. And a lot of people, the debate popped up as who would you take between Brett Favre and Drew Brees. In my opinion, that question is not even close. I would take Drew Brees 10 times out of 10. And I'm going to tell you why. While Brett Favre is always known for the big plays, he has a lot of interceptions, but that's because he's not scared to make the big plays. So I'm not, and especially in this argument, I'm not fretting him for his interceptions, but because he's known for the big plays. But if I want a quarterback that is, to me, and I'm not the oldest person in the world, but Drew Brees is the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen play the NFL. I've ever seen play football. He's the most accurate quarterback, in my opinion, ever. While he's not always the most flashy player, he'll always keep you in games. Because there's been a while that the Saints have been Drew Brees and nobody. In fact, I believe Jalen Rose said it today, or said it yesterday. Can you name me 2 of Drew Brees' best wide receivers he's ever had? I know a lot of people say the first one they say is Alvin Kamara. Yeah, he's not a wide receiver. He's a running back. You got what? Marcus Colston and what? Maybe Brandon Cooks or Michael Thomas. I don't know. Willie Snead. What I'm saying is, Drew Brees has done more with nothing than I've ever seen somebody. He's won a Super Bowl. And you think Drew Brees' effect? You think Drew Brees doesn't have an effect in the NFL? When's the last time you seen a highlight from Jimmy Graham? I'll wait. And Jimmy Graham played with Russell Wilson, who's a great quarterback, and now he plays with Aaron Rodgers, who's arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. So, again, when's the last time you heard of Jimmy Graham? What I'm saying is, Drew Brees, he doesn't talk that much. He's not the loudest person. and he will never be the loudest person in the room. But he's a model of consistency. He's the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen, and he's a leader. They mic'd him up when he first of all, let me say this. Let me say this before I keep going. What the hell was that, Washington? Come on, man. I felt like that game really looked like Washington were fans that night on Monday. Like they wanted Drew Brees to break the record. Not only did he break the passing yards record, he also broke the touchdowns. I mean, no, he didn't. He's 400. He has 499 touchdowns. So next week, he's gonna go into the 500 touchdown club, and the only other quarterback that's in that right now is Tom Brady, who is the GOAT quarterback wise in the NFL. So they had him mic'd up for the while he threw the history setting pass. And you can just see, man, players love to play with him. His whole team embraced him. Former players went to social media to congratulate him. Players that never played with him congratulate him. Peyton Manning had a pretty funny congratulatory video. Drew Brees is just a good guy, man. Drew Brees is a good guy, and you can't take that away from him, man. People like playing with Drew Brees. And Drew Brees is to me a model of consistency, and he is the most underrated quarterback of all time. And in my opinion, he's top 5 all time. And who is my top 5? I have Tom Brady. That's unarguable. Tom Brady is the GOAT. 5 Super Bowls, model of consistency. It's hard, especially the year when they came back against Atlanta. It's hard to make a case about anybody other than Tom Brady. You got Joe Montana. I mean, he's undefeated in the Super Bowl. He's like Jordan in the Super Bowl. You got Peyton Manning. While his playoff record leaves a lot to be desired, to me, he is still the greatest regular season quarterback ever. Peyton Manning. You got Johnny Unitas. He really paved the way for quarterbacks back in the day. And Drew Brees. In my opinion, is top 5 all time. Of course, that leaves out Brett Favre. That leaves out Aaron Rodgers. That leaves out Teddy Bradshaw. But Drew Brees. Oh, another thing. Drew Brees, his impact in the game is paramount. You can see it. I don't know who said it. Somebody on ESPN said it, but Warren Moon was the first quarterback that really showed players, and as maybe prejudiced and racist as it is, they showed teams, wow, black people can really play quarterback. So Warren Moon paved the way for people like Doug Williams, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Michael Vick, Dante Culpepper. Players like that can attribute their success to Warren Moon. Players like Russell Wilson, players like Baker Mayfield, even though he didn't really succeed in the NFL, Johnny Manziel, players that, for a long time, it's like if you weren't 6'2" and above, you can't play quarterback. Drew Brees debunked that. Drew Brees, I know they have him listed as 6'1" or 6 feet tall, but almost everybody has come out and said that Drew Brees is barely 5'11", if that. So Drew Brees' impact has revolutionized the game the same way, players like Warren Moon has, or if you go to another sport, Steph Curry has. Now, you know what? Let me not say Steph Curry. That's where I do compare Drew Brees to Steve Nash a lot, in the spec that Steve Nash really changed the way we view point guards as in an offensive threat. While he was a pass first point guard, Steve Nash had no problem dropping 40 on your head. And that paved the way for a lot of offensive first point guards at that point. Without Drew Brees, I'm not going to say there wouldn't be a Russell Wilson, but they wouldn't be, teams wouldn't even think twice about getting short quarterbacks, because how are you going to see over the line of scrimmage? That's always what I've heard. We don't want a short quarterback because he can't see over the line of scrimmage. He can't see over 6'4", 6'5" linemen. Drew Brees debunked that. So Drew Brees' impact is felt, man. It is felt in the league. There's no way you can say that, in my eyes, Drew Brees is not, even if you don't want to say top 5, I'm saying top 5. He is top 5 quarterbacks, in my opinion, of all time. But even if you don't want to say that, there's no way you can say Drew Brees is not a top 10 quarterback ever. No way. I can't name 10 I can't name 5 quarterbacks better than Drew Brees, but I definitely can't name 10. So I guess the moral of this is Drew Brees isn't the most flashy player. He doesn't flaunt about what he has. Drew Brees just balls, And Drew Brees, in my opinion, because this is the Unpopular Podcast, is in the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. So there you have it, man. This was a good one, man. This was a good one. It's not as hot as here. It's not as hot in here as it usually is. Yeah, man. I'm liking this. I'm liking this whole new setup. This is the third episode in here. I think this is episode 18, I believe. Stay tuned. So usually we drop an episode every Wednesday, but next week I'm doing my first NBA special. What I'm doing is I'm ranking every team and talking about every team from 1 to 30, and I'm just ranking every team, and giving my thoughts and opinions of the teams. So I'm gonna drop that on Monday, because the season starts next Wednesday. So I don't want to be recording it and then editing it, and y'all can't dissect it before the season even starts. So again, stay tuned next week on Monday for the Unpopular Podcast's first NBA breakdown special. I want to thank you guys for listening. This is, of course, again, the Unpopular Podcast, where I give my unpopular opinion about sports. This is your boy, Jalen. Until next time, man, stay... that's corny. Stay breezy. Man, all right. Have a good one, man. Much love.
Loaded bases, that's my motivation. Nigga feeling lucky, we should go to Vegas. 2018 motor transportation got me feeling over anxious like a home invasion. My dough inflated and I'm more creative. Signed a couple big deals, but it's no parading. See, it's a couple niggas every generation that wasn't supposed to make it out, but they code the matrix. And when they get to speak, it's like a coded language. Reminds niggas that they strength and all the stolen greatness. We used to shoot at niggas at the mobile station. Full circle, mogul motivation. My self-educated through negotiations. Got these sharks that I'm sitting at this table with, afraid to bait me. No 10 on my Mercedes, that's for inspiration. 2 kilos on my neck like the fucking 80s. Westside Slauson Ave know my demonstration. Born and raised, y'all affiliated. It's really greatness. Riding around like I really made it. Loaded bases, I'm gon' Willie Mason. Yeah.
Listen to my ambition, cause I'm on one. Swinging for the fences for the home run. Even further beyond make it to first. It feels like every second's being stolen. I risk it for every ticket we sold them. You got the ball, I'ma take it home. Bottom line, I'm gonna make it home.
I was sitting on my link and I start thinking, nigga ain't gonna make 100 mil off in these streets. More than likely I'm gonna end up in somebody pricing. Even worse, horse and carriage front the church, laid off in the hearse, I dealt with it. I ain't just out here for my health with it. I weighed the risk.